morning, everybody. I hope
Hello.
everyone is having a fantastic morning. My brain is kind of all over the place. It's that ADHD type morning.
hmm
Okay, so we've been arguing up until that's why we're kind of a little late. That's on me. On what is it? Disney princesses, right? Because I talked
Yeah.
to my dear Abby earlier
hmm
this week, and we talked about this video going around on YouTube where a psychologist and a filmmaker, I guess, rank Disney couples based on if their relationship is a healthy one, right? And I thought, you know what? I'm a Disney adult. You're a Disney adult. Let's
Uh,
fucking do it.
we're gonna use the term adult very loosely
Yeah,
with
we're not
me.
adults. I mean,
Yeah.
we're adults, but we're look at us making Disney Disney princess things. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 princesses. Is that enough?
um, Pretty much. Yeah. Okay. So there's technically 15. Which ones are you leaving out? I know there's like the TV show
Mm-mm.
Princess. I have no idea about her. I really don't. Never watched her
Mm.
stuff.
So what I have listed, actually, I can show you. Boom.
Okay.
Eh.
Boom. Boom.
You'll
Where?
see it on the screen in a second. Ah, whoops.
Uh,
Do you
oh
see?
well, Anna and Elsa aren't Disney princesses.
Okay. If we're going by,
Oh, and you're including Moana.
well, this is the only Disney princess tier list I found. Oh, well, I can find another. Hold up. Because they don't have. I mean, we can also make our own. But I thought having a visual representation would people can see how we do this. Ew, gross. Someone did Disney Channel shows. Sorry, nothing against Disney Channel shows. However, comma
Uh,
they're not the good Disney shows from the 90s. Let's see. There's 13 on that one. I mean, we can still do our own. Well, keep finding.
oh yeah, Alina is the Disney princess
Oh,
that
for the
for the TV show.
ah. Oh, we have some classic Disney women. Let me just go back to Disney couples. Oh no, we can do Disney princess. We have an unofficial. Ew, no, gross. We're not doing that. Sorry, I'm looking at tier lists. I have never seen so many tier lists in my life.
Well, we don't have to use a tier list for this one.
I
We
mean, we
can just
don't.
do from best to worst. We don't have to have an A through or an F through S tier list. We can just do best to worst.
Okay.
Um, and we can start with um
Snow
the
White.
original princess up to the most recent princess of
Okay.
the official princesses. Not every single princess in Disney is an official Disney princess. Along with not every single girl. So from the original to the most recent, we have Snow White, Cinderella, Aurora, Ariel, Belle, Jasmine, Pocahontas, Mulan, Tiana,
I
Rapunzel,
found it.
Merida, Elena, Moana, and Raya. I think we will end up leaving a couple of these out. I would not be able to have an opinion on Elena because she wasn't around until after I was like out of college. So I never
El-
watched her stuff. She has a
oh
show.
God, I'm like Alina. You mean Elena of Avalor?
Excuse me.
I
Elena.
was like,
Sorry.
Alina? Is there an Alina? Do I know an Alina?
That's
No, it's
how
Elena.
my white ass. That's how a white ass
Yeah.
would pronounce it. I
Sorry.
apologize.
I was like, are you
Elena.
talking Elena of Avalor? Then
Yes. Sorry. My white ass pronounces it Alina.
no, you're fine.
Alana.
I just wanted to make sure. Like I was
No,
like
that's
not
perfectly fine.
okay.
And we're gonna do their relationship. So unfortunately, someone like Merida, who actually doesn't have like a romantic relationship, in her story per se, will have to be left out. Moana as well, again, has no romantic relationship, and if y'all are shipping her with Maui, that's kind of gross.
Oh yeah, she has no romantic relationship.
That's kind of gross.
Neither
We might
does.
throw in Raya. We might.
No, Raya.
Spice
No,
it.
in this, I mean,
Oh,
it's only the reason why we can't do that is because we're going to be just as bad as Moana, where it's mostly headcanon. So, as much as we believe,
you try and tell me that fight scene wasn't like a flirtation.
It doesn't
show.
matter, but like if we do that, then we have to include Moana, and that would not be fair. I just saying, because a lot of people would be upset because these are headcanons for us, and we have to accept all headcanons if that's the case. So I will take Raya, even though we know she's gay, and I will say that out loud with my whole chest. But in terms of relationship, since it's not actual canon relationship, I will exclude Raya. Even though I'll straight up say, come on. That's
right.
It's there, but we can't.
It's absolutely there.
Yeah, we have to exclude for what do you call it? Fairness.
Well, we have to kind of leave one more princess out just because of
Elena.
cultural appropriation. No.
Oh.
Pocahontas.
Oh yes, and Pocahontas.
Like, we cannot. We're not going to address Pocahontas. If you want to know why, you should go listen to.
First of all,
Indigenous.
First of all, Kumo, that was my plan, was to make a tier list. I will change it, but that was my plan. But we can't find a tier list that actually works for me, so we're gonna just do
for
Disney.
You.
Yeah.
If we actually were prepared, ma'am.
I was prepared, and then I was prepared. I had it all prepared, but then you were like, okay, my preparedness is there was 35 couples that I wanted to talk about, 35, and we agreed that it was too much.
Our random ass ain't going to be talking about 35 couples in an hour and a half because we've already spent 11 minutes just rambling.
Yeah, so that's why I had it.
Like
so don't tell me I wasn't prepared. I was completely prepared. Completely. But I agree. I think 35 might be a little too much. So let's get started with the first one. Snow White, F tier.
Snow White, the original princess.
The OG
Disney
princess, F tier.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't
Snow
say
White,
F
and
tier,
her
but
prince is Prince Florian.
Yes, Prince Florian.
A white
I wonder
boy
if people
name.
know. Ugh. I wonder if a lot of people know that. But yes, Prince Florian. Bottom of the barrel. Actually, I will say for a lot of the couples, classic Disney princesses was very bad. I'm just gonna say it. Snow White being one of them, because this dude, well, I guess okay, all right, depending on his voice, this dude only sang to her Snow White, and she immediately fell in love and was like, yep, this is the man of my dreams. A song, I know some people who may not like people who sing, so singing may not be the best. However, if you can sing to me, I will melt. I understand why she did. I understand. However, that's not marriage material. You know what I mean?
I'll agree with you. I will put this out there just as someone who overanalyzes things and tries to kind of include scenarios outside of this. It's they may have talked and communicated in passing outside of this first interaction that we are seeing within the movie.
Yes,
she may be admiring from afar, but even then it's there's very clearly an intentional, like, forced upon class difference. We have a
Oh,
prince,
yes.
and Snow White is forced to be a slave. So there's clearly no interaction between the two. Even if she's like admiring from afar, knows all this information, because her mother is the evil queen.
Yes. Also,
there's still not enough.
I would also say she was 14 and instantly decided to live with 7 random people after breaking into their home. I wouldn't say that she. Okay, yes. She didn't decide to live with 7 random people because she thought that the house was empty. She didn't decide.
Well, she thought they were for children.
Oh yeah, because they were dwarves, and she thought it was for children. And it turns out, no, they're grown ass men. And to be honest, if there was a 14-year-old, okay, I wouldn't say that there. If there's a 14-year-old who came by my house and was like, "Hey, my mom's trying to kill me," I'd be like, "Yeah, you're gonna stay with me. You just chill with me. I'll take care of you. I ain't having this." So I get that they're men and there's like, 7 dwarf men, but the fact that they took in a 14-year-old, they did nothing to her. Yep. They were like, "We'll protect you," was very sweet. Those are gentlemen there.
Well, they didn't even like offer to really protect her. They just like, you can just stay here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one, like, even hiding from the queen is kind of a protection, and they offered their home. They could have not done that. So
valid.
To be honest, the wise men, the dwarf men, the 7 dwarves were amazing, much more than the prince ever would be, in my personal opinion. They're the real heroes. That's the only thing I should say. I get it's Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, but come on, it's all the dwarves. They're the real heroes.
Yep, they are. And like, I get like everybody, again, I'm maybe reading too much or like looking for the best in the scenario. Everyone wants to give Florian shit for just going up and kissing her.
That's typical fairy tale fashion, I think, though.
That is typical fairy tale fashion, but we know that she was asleep for multiple seasons, and he was probably actually looking for her for a very long time and ended up hearing about this beauty that's asleep in the woods. Again, that's probably just like overanalyzing everything, but I do recognize that that does not give him a good look in the context of the movie solely.
That's true. If the queen had came personally, I feel the dwarves would have ultimately handed her over. I don't think so, because they kind of sort of killed her. Yeah. I don't think they would have done that. I think in my mind, the reason why the dwarves are mining and doing things on their own is because they're living that hermit lifestyle. They don't want anything to do with the queen. Living off grid. Don't want to have to do anything with the government kind of thing. I respect the dwarves for that. So that's why I imagine in my head. I have nothing but utter respect for them, for the dwarves, I mean.
Well, they may actually not be living like, again, this is another argument as to why it's like we can't do 35 couples in an hour and a half.
That's true.
I don't believe the dwarves are completely off grid. I do think that they are very likely in another kingdom. Because they're mining gems and diamonds. Where are they go? Where are those gems?
They're hoarding it for the dragon. That's what they're doing.
But we know the dragon are besties. Is a prince to another kingdom, so it almost makes sense that the dwarves worked in the kingdom that belongs to Prince Florian.
I mean, that could be one. Yeah, actually. Yeah.
And look at us again. Like I said,
this is all speculation. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, moving on to Cinderella. Okay. Cinderella's classic story. Okay. I'm also the person who watches those shitty sequels. But I'm not gonna diss on Cinderella 3: A Twist in Time, because that was amazing.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good.
I liked it as a sequel, and I will die on that hill. I don't care if anyone else doesn't like it. I liked it.
Well, actually, hang on. Before we go, I think we have like a list of like 1 through 9, for the princesses that we are going. The worst being Snow White. We're putting Snow White as number 9. Are you okay with that?
Okay. Repeat that one more time.
we have a list of 1 through 9.
1 through 9.
Yeah. And we're saying that, like, Snow White is number 9.
Bottom.
Like,
Yes.
worst.
Bottom.
Worst to worst. Yeah, we're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Before we move on to the next one.
And so, yeah, so Cinderella.
Yeah.
Are we including sequels to this?
Okay, so question, how drastically does your opinion change, or does her ranking change between the original movie and the third movie?
It's not necessarily her. She's amazing. Cinderella as a princess, to me, I love her. I'm not so much about Prince Charming. What's his name? It's Charming, right? Yeah, it is Charming.
Yeah, he is the original Prince Charming.
Yeah.
He is never given a canonical name.
Right. I personally believe it's the sequels redeem Prince Charming, not necessarily Cinderella. Because remember, these are Disney couples, Disney princess couples. So, to be honest, I think the sequel redeems him to be a little bit better. And I think that's why I put them on a higher tier than, or a higher level than Snow White. But
I mean, fair.
If we're talking classics, he did forget her. He forgot her face. And he only recognized her by the dress and shoes she was wearing. And this is the thing.
I mean, okay, I'm going to argue with you about that. And I'm going to end up like having like an unpopular opinion. Where they danced and where they talked and where they hung out for multiple hours that evening was outside, where there wasn't a lot of light. Not only that, her hair was completely different. Her like normal outfit was completely different. And she probably had makeup on. I don't know about you, Miss Cosplayer, but how different do you look when you put makeup on?
It's not even the fact that it's how she looks. It's the fact that all he needed to do is, hi, my name is Prince Charming. What's yours? That's it. That's fucking it. I don't care how many people will argue that he didn't recognize her or anything. But if he wasn't a pussy and actually walked up to you and be like, hi, my name is Prince Charming, or my name is Charming. He doesn't, because she didn't even know he was a prince when they danced. So he could be like, hi, my name is Charming. Boom. What's yours? Oh, my name is Cinderella. Don't you forget it. I'm pretty sure it'll come up, in your mind sometime. Then he wouldn't have to find a woman who fits the shoe. He would have been like, listen, you need to find some bitch named Cinderella. And I know no one will ever call her Cinderella because that's a unique name specifically to her. Right?
Right.
Boom. Mystery solved, case closed. But no.
Okay, but
we gotta go. No, we gotta go the foot fetish route. No, it's like we gotta go the foot fetish route because Disney fairy tales.
I mean, fair enough.
That's what I believe.
I mean, fair, but you have home training where you're actually taught to like introduce yourself. I am awful about introducing myself or getting somebody's name. Also, did you see how many people he was introduced to that evening?
Cinderella would have still stood out because of the uniqueness of her name. That's why I thought, because
Cinderella was a nickname.
Yes, but
and if she could just like, hey, I'm Ella. Ella's a common name.
No. Even it's like how I introduce myself as Ricey. First of all, for any of you who don't know, my name is not actually Ricey. I know, a shocker. That's my nickname. And I introduced myself as Ricey. Mm-hmm. So she could have introduced herself as Cinderella.
What if she didn't like her name?
Because, if that was the case, then she would have trained her rat friends to not say her name that way. Because that was the only friend she had. So, boom. Boom. Obviously, your name is Bull. You're right. Damn, you're right, Kumo. So that's what I think. But then again, we're reading way too much into a Disney princess film. But I do think if you just give her your name, you would have found out. Nickname as well, because that's how I introduced myself, as nickname. Sorry for the casual docs. Damn it. Now you got to
Oh,
tell the whole world my name is Bowl. Ah, so embarrassing. It's just so embarrassing.
I'd be super embarrassed with a name like that. But okay, so I'm not gonna argue with that. That's extremely valid.
Yeah.
I argue with everybody that's like, oh, they don't have time to actually get to know each other. I'm like, no, throughout
I
the
think
entire
they do.
song, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
throughout the entire song, it's a montage.
Mm-hmm.
It is a time lapse. They're dancing and they're talking and they're socializing. You see them socializing. They get on a bridge at one point and they're not dancing. They are like talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get that's not like a lot of time to be. It's like destined loved kind of situation, but it is enough time to actually get to know somebody. That's my argument with
No, that's
that.
true.
Like everybody wants to shit on This Is Love scene. And
I
I will
I don't.
defend that This Is Love scene.
I
Everything
agree.
else, you're right. You're very right.
I do think I agree. I think that this is love scene does show that they've been talking and all of that. But the fact
Yeah.
that everything else, like I said, also points them. I love them. I mean, I genuinely do like Cinderella more so than Snow White because I do think
Agreed.
that it's like a very romantic film. But unlike, I also want to put this higher in this. The main focus with Cinderella shows her how, what is the correct term for this? Resilient she is, I guess. Despite
Yeah,
everything that goes on with her, she's
I think
incredibly,
resilient is a really good word for it.
yes, resilient as as a woman at that time. I thought, it was the first sign of independence.
Right,
Because
yeah.
in the very end, she finally did something for herself without the help of, what's her face? The fairy godmother or anything. She
Yeah.
kept her shoe and then she stood up to her stepmom to get her man. Go get your man, Cinderella. I appreciate that. Snow White has no character substance at all, unlike Cinderella, who has a full backstory and personality. I agree, and that's why. And they flesh it out in the third sequel, Cinderella 3. They flesh out her personality and their relationship so much in that film. And again, if we're putting in the sequel for this film, I would rank it higher. But aside from it this is 9 rankings, right?
Yeah. So
I would rank
personally
it,
would put. Go ahead.
I would put it under 7 or 8.
Oh really? I
Oh
put
no
it
no
at
no! Excuse
6.
me, 6 or 7. There you go.
Okay, I was about to say I put it at 6 for me. And like when we get to 8, 7, and 8, I'll explain why I put Cinderella at 6.
I have a specific person that's slightly above Snow White. That's why.
Oh, like I got a couple that. Well, like I definitely have one above it, and we'll get there when we get there. But I personally feel like Cinderella's at a 6 because it's like they did actually, in my opinion, make a connection.
They did. I agree. So much so that he's like, bruh, we got to do this. Cinderella 3, straight to VHS, is non-canon, unfortunately. Well, I don't know about that because I also saw it, because when I saw it, I didn't see it on the VHS. I saw it in the Disney Channel show, whatever. You know how they usually have Disney Channel movies on Sunday mornings or Saturday mornings? I saw it there. That's the first time I watched it. So I'm assuming that they think it's canon. It's from a different studio, but it's still under Walt Disney. I'm gonna say it's canon because I really like that.
Okay, so I do have a question for you, and before we move on to the next princess, and I know that we're trying to be a little bit more mindful about our time with this. A 6 or 7, with just the original. So if we included the third one, what would it bump it up to?
Okay, the third one I have a special place. I would keep it at 6. I will keep it at 6 for now. I will keep that at 6. So the third which is Sleeping Beauty, aka Briar Rose, aka Aurora,
Aurora.
automatically, I hate to say it, to me, straight up, she's 8.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Agreed.
I'm glad because first of all, Sleeping Beauty. I love Sleeping Beauty. I love Aurora. I love her design. I love her design. But if we're talking character, and especially with Prince Philip is the one carrying this whole relationship. It is.
This is one of the ones that we get so much more for the prince than we actually get for the princess.
Exactly. And I am here for it. Prince Philip is by far one of the greatest princesses in Disney history.
Agreed.
And I will die on that hill.
Absolutely.
I will die on that hill. Because he was the one who stood up to his father saying, you know, he should marry Commoner. What kind is this? This is the 16th century or some joke like that?
Yeah.
13th century, something like that. And he was the one to stand up for, like, to his dad. He's like, nah, I can marry whoever I want. Bet. Goes into the woods,
right.
Finds someone. His flirt game, 10 out of 10. Like, come on. The lines he uses on Briar Rose was so smooth that even I was like, okay, I see you, Prince Philip. I know a lot of people would be like freaked out. There's a stranger man in the woods who's trying to flirt with me and all that. But in terms of Disney fantasy, right? If this was like a Wattpad fan fiction kind of thing, people would write this shit. That's what, straight up. People would write this in their fan fictions and eat it up. And I was one of them. I love Prince Philip. Is their relationship balanced? Prince Philip and Aurora? Absolutely not. I think Prince Philip could do better.
I mean, fair. The reason I put Aurora above Snow White is because it kind of the same argument with Cinderella. I do believe that they did have a little bit of like a talking montage with Once Upon a Dream.
Mm-hmm.
Not as long as Cinderella and Prince Charming.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that they did talk and kind of got to know each other during Once Upon a Dream.
That's true. And Zamer says doesn't truly know her, but he's like, I'm gonna fight this dragon to save you. I feel like Prince Philip is a professional flirt. And the moment he saw how much of a connection he had with Aurora, he's like, dude, I can't just be flirting, man. I want this girl. And when he realized, like, he didn't realize until he gave the kiss that she was like the princess or whatever. But the fact that it didn't even bother him whether she was a commoner or a princess. He still liked her enough to fight a dragon for her.
Right.
That is why Prince Philip, top 10, like top 5.
Man, we are talking about couples, not princes.
Okay, yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but top 5 prince. But it's the relationship to me is so unbalanced, and he could do so much better than Aurora. Like he can do so much better than her, and that's why he's on number 8 because it's a very one-sided relationship. Very one-sided.
We'll rank the princes. We'll rank the princes at one point.
And what we will.
Okay.
But as of now, 8. And the only reason why they're not on 9 is because of Prince Philip. Prince Philip, I love you.
That's for you. For me, the only reason they're not on 9 is because I do believe that, again, they did have a connection of sorts during Once Upon a Dream.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't have that, it would be hard to choose. But they would both, Snow White and Aurora would both end up on 9.
Right.
Personally.
Right. Should I make like a little, you know what? I'm going to make a little vision board here.
A little vision board?
Yeah.
Okay. While you're working on that, I can move on if you'd like me to.
Yeah, go ahead. Next one.
Ariel.
So Ariel and Prince Eric.
Prince Eric.
It was
He's a cutie, though.
I love him. Okay, listen. He's like 17 or 18. Was he, or is he in his early 20s? I forget. Because she's 16.
She is 16. She's like, but Daddy, I'm 16.
Yeah, but Daddy, I love him. I'm 16
We know
years
that
old.
he
I'm
has
not a
a
child.
birthday.
Yeah, oh.
Remember, they're on the ship and they
were celebrating his
statue.
birthday. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. They never say exactly how old he is. I personally don't believe he's older than like 21.
21?
I do not believe he's any older than 21. So he's anywhere between like 17 to 21. I think he might be around 19 personally, but we don't really have an age.
Mm. I
So Zamer is saying that he was like a teenage adult in the TV series, adult in the movie. So it just depends.
Because I don't know his age, but the reason why I brought that up was because
Okay.
they the way that they portrayed the characters as an adult, now that I see it as an adult, they are they're very young. And I like
They
the
are
way that
young.
they portrayed it as like a young kind of love, because it was a young love. He was awkward to her, she was awkward to him. Like it was awkward and cute. And I can appreciate the writers doing that. Except the whole I was 16, I'm not a child. Yes, you are. Sit your ass down.
No, oh, no. I'm 31. I'm still a fucking child.
So the way that they learn from each other, because she didn't know who he was. She had this idea, like she liked that he was human and she was attracted to the human, right? Would she be
I
considered
think did know
pansexual?
he.
Would she be considered the first pansexual? I mean, she was a mermaid.
I think they would both kind of be.
That's what I'm saying.
Honest.
That would be Disney's first pansexual couple, wouldn't you agree?
I can't exactly argue with that.
That's what I'm saying. All right, hold up. I'm trying to get
Um,
this Snow White.
Personally, I ranked them kind of on the very low end,
Me too.
just just because of their age. Now, I will give that Eric does treat her really well, and that she is not an utter brat to him.
Yes.
Like there are times, like because he is older,
Yeah.
and we already see that her act like a brat around her friends and family. She actually doesn't act like a brat to Eric.
No.
Oh.
And I've watched all the sequels as well. So
But for me, I did place them under Cinderella. I placed them at 7 for me.
see, I'm going to have to the reason why I don't place them under Cinderella
Okay.
is because hold up. Let me put Cinderella up there. All right. The reason why I don't place her under Cinderella is because the way that they got connected is he he really liked her despite the
Yeah.
fact that she was a someone who couldn't speak. You know, he only knew her as human,
Right.
and she couldn't speak, and he tried his best. So she was in this term disabled, you know, just a mute, can hear and everything. Oh, and I wonder if everyone can see that. He was a mute. Oh, my
Yeah,
shrink it a
that's
little
pretty
bit.
okay.
Okay. So she was a mute, and I was like, and he loved her anyway, despite it all, because he still wanted to kiss the girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that again, it's like it's the kind of thing that it's the princes that are carrying the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I do
I'm gonna
I
make
don't
this
know.
bigger.
Like I think the main reason I put Ariel and Eric at 7 below Cinderella is because they are on the younger end.
They
And
are
it
on
could
the
just be
younger end.
young infatuation, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, because once again, I
But
saw the
they
sequel, and she ended up
Right.
being a mom. So good on her.
And actually a fairly decent mom. But
Fairly decent.
just solely focusing on the original movie, there's nothing wrong with young infatuation and young love, but they do get married very young.
I do agree they do get married very young, because okay, so this is my thing. I believe time passed a little bit before they got married. Because
How much time do you think passed? Or
I
is
don't
your
know.
headcanon that passed?
I just know that time in my head, I feel like time has passed because you know, she finally got her legs, her dad gave her legs, and then they did the kiss on the beach, but then it fades into the wedding, which could mean time had passed, one to get ready for the wedding, so they could maybe get to know each other a little bit better or something. I, that's my thing. I kind of like, I would rank them a little bit higher than Cinderella just because I genuinely believe that Ariel and Eric had more time to get to know each other off screen. I agree that they are young. I definitely agree that they are young. Right. But as a couple, I believe they are in a healthy relationship. But again, I could be deterred just because of I saw the sequel when they actually had a kid. And the fact that even when he had the kid, Prince Eric went above and beyond to protect his little girl. I'm just like,
yep.
And
okay, we are ranking couples, not the princes.
I know, but as a I know that. But also the fact that he allowed Ariel. I'm talking to Princess. Oh, was it Little Mermaid 2 with her daughter
Melody?
Yeah, with Melody. He allowed her instead of like. Because, they're like, we got to find our kid. He's like, you need to change into a mermaid. He gave her the idea. I was like, you need to change into a mermaid. You got to find her in the sea. I'm going to find her in land. I trust you can do this because of what we went through. As a Disney couple, that shit is fire. Like, he loves his wife.
That is a power couple.
Oh, like, my gosh.
If we are so including the sequel, I will rank them higher because it is like an established and well-balanced relationship.
That's the thing. I'm so biased. I can't rank them low, but because I see how they act as a sequel and the fact that he still had a crush on her even though she was mute. Like, come on. They have to rank higher. And I get it, it's young love and whatever and stuff like that. But, and he was hypnotized. Like, everyone's like, oh, well, he fell in love with Ursula. No, he didn't. He was hypnotized.
That was magic.
So... And he went in the middle of a storm to find a giant fucking octopus lady. Like this, with no fear. Dude.
Okay.
I have to rank them higher.
I'm going to pause you at that. I'm going to pause you at that.
Oh, gosh.
With no fear, I'm going to pause you at that. He is a teenage boy.
Yes, and I see a lot of teenage boys. No, I disagree. I feel like they would have fear. But he did that. Even after knowing Ariel was a mermaid, because he's like, I lost her once. I don't want to lose her again. Like, come on. I think he's low end. I do think she's low end. I think they're ranked number 5. They're right in the middle.
Okay.
Because I personally feel like I have someone who would be ranked a little less than that. So I would put, personally, Ariel and Eric, number 5. Because I do think that they have it's an interesting beginning, not going to lie. But I still believe they're one of the first pansexual couples in Disney, history. As well. As well as, even though she was temporarily disabled, she was disabled. He didn't know that. He still treated her like as a person. They
went respect.
With respect. Like, he danced with her. He showed her how to drive, all this stuff. Like, it's so heartwarming that because she was just curious about the human world, right? And he didn't know that. Duh, he didn't know. But he was willing to show her all of the stuff in his city, like a proud prince, as that he wanted to be. It's just so sweet. I love them as a couple. I'm sorry, I will go on and on and on. We gotta hurry up. I want to say number 5.
Okay, I'm gonna keep them at 7, and once we're finished, we can hash out where everybody else falls.
Okay, so you said you want them at 7. I'm gonna say 5. So,
and the biggest reason that you're putting them at 5 is because you do think that they established a better
relationship than Cinderella. Yes.
As we see in the movie.
Yes. And even in the original movie, not the sequel, their dynamic was much more established than Cinderella and Prince Charming.
And I can respect that. Again, I just think that it's more
even at their age. They may have been young. At their age
is kind of what's putting
it. See, I get that they're young, but as a young couple, they still respected each other as a young couple. like if I had a kid and he or she treated each other with that kind of respect, that would be great, because that's the kind of respect that I wish they would show to other young teens, not to their parents, because she is a little bit of a rebel. However, to each other as a couple, yeah, I want my son to treat everyone with that kind of level of respect, for sure.
Right.
That's what I would say as a young couple. So I put it both in 7 and 5.
And we can hash it out at the end.
And we can hash it out on the end. So next, and this is going to be one of the controversial ones, and I'm very biased. It is Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
Belle and Beauty and the Beast. Okay.
So Belle and what's his name? Prince Adam. That's his name. Prince Adam.
Mm-hmm. Which actually wasn't released until well after the movie.
Yes, that's true. The name.
Mm-hmm.
I love the couple dynamic, but I think it's
I'm gonna go ahead and
I think
just
it's gonna
be
be like
honest.
the fan fiction kind of thing in my head, where that's like I love this trope. I'm just gonna straight out say it: the villain who falls in love with the heroine trope is my favorite trope. And I'm not talking about the villain that is Gaston. No, I know, but he acted villainous towards her in the very beginning, which is that kind of still falls into that trope where the villain or the hard ass falls in love with the sweet heroine. I love that trope. And I think that's why I love Beauty and the Beast so much, because he did that for her. He fucking did that for her. And in the very end, Beast could have acted beastly, I should say, and killed Gaston, but he didn't. He showed him mercy because he didn't want her to see him as a monster. Damn, that's a great, I fucking love that. And every, what is it? That's one of the best tropes. You know what I mean? Fucking great trope. 10 out of 10. I love it.
Also, we don't shy away from our favorite tropes. We understand that they're tropes and we love them for them being tropes.
I agreed.
Like,
Agreed.
I did rank them pretty high, personally. And it is because they established a dynamic before they ever got into a relationship. I see them as being friends.
They were
first,
friends, yes.
And actually had a significant amount of time to establish a friendship, because we see a change in season. We see it go from fall to winter into like a really gross rainy spring, like early spring.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a significant amount of time
for them that passed, yes,
for them to just know each other.
Mm-hmm. And because she was just a prisoner, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's Stockholm syndrome." I don't think so.
Not in the tropey kind of.
Yeah, not in the tropey kind of thing. But because I know a lot of people will argue with that.
And also, he released her.
He did release her.
And she came back.
Uh-huh. And they're like, "Oh, but that's a sign of Stockholm syndrome." No, it's not. It's much worse than that. Because Stockholm syndrome is a it's a survivor skill, and how do I explain it better? A lot of women a lot of people who have Stockholm syndrome do it to protect themselves, and then they confuse that with actual love. That's not what's going on here. Like, she didn't need or feel like she had to protect herself. She felt safe and taken care of because she was. And I think that's the difference that a lot of people may not understand, because Stockholm syndrome can also include a lot of manipulation and abuse. It's a lot. Yeah. So, but that was
there wasn't abuse.
No, there wasn't. No, well, I mean, there was yelling and like tossing, but
toxic.
Toxic.
It was very toxic at the beginning, because Adam had really toxic traits. Then again, he's been very isolated for a very long time. It doesn't excuse it. It just explains it.
Explains it. Yeah, does not excuse, but it does.
And Belle was strong enough to be like, "You need to stop your bullshit."
Yes, and she put him in his place, and he wasn't prepared for that, but he accepted that. And the fact that she stood up to him, even as a beast form, Like she was scared, but she wasn't scared when he saved her life out in the snowy field or whatever. She could have very well left him, but she didn't because she has a kind heart, and she knew karma's gonna bite her in her ass if she leaves him in the snow dead. So she takes him on that little horse. God bless that horse. And carries him back to the castle, where then she tends to his wounds. And what does he do? He gets mad. He yells at her. And what does she do? She's like,
yells back.
Well, yeah, she yells back. She's like, well, if you would hold still, it wouldn't hurt as much. Like, boom, one after the other. All the other servants were terrified of him. All of them.
They're his servants.
Yeah, they're his servants. They don't
seen themselves as servants,
exactly.
And he's always looked at them as servants.
So
it's like
the way that when she talked back to him, do you remember like the awe they were in their faces? Like they were like, oh shit, this is happening. Boom.
Actually, I don't agree with you, Zamer, at all. That she's not a furry and that she's not into like bestiality or anything like that. I would argue that they are one of the first asexual couples in Disney.
I agree.
Because even though they like during the time they're getting to know each other, it's not really like a romantic relationship. But she comes back to him and she loves him.
Also, Kumo,
I would argue that that's more of an asexual relationship.
That's true. Also, Kumo, they explained it that not all the furniture was actual servants, just select furniture were servants, not all of them. But they explained it later on. So yeah, to think that all their like he crushed furniture was part of their
right
servants, I can understand why that would be scary, because that could have happened. I don't know, but they clarified that not all furniture are servants, just select number.
We see that like in Belle's room, her bed is not a servant.
No,
her wardrobe is, yes,
but
her
bed is not.
Correct.
But anyway, so I would rank them a little higher just because out of all, and this is the thing, out of all of the Disney couples, they were the ones that actually had the most toxic relationship turn into a semi-healthy one. Because
toxic friendship,
yes. Well, relationship, platonic or whatever, just relationship in general. They were the most toxic, but healed into something healthy because they started learning from each other. I agree. I would place them at 3.
And I think this may not make complete sense to like our viewers and stuff. It makes sense to you because you know me and my weird ass. I think I had to place them at 3 just because they don't really. There isn't a whole lot of time of them actually being in a relationship in the movie. If that, like, in a romantic relationship in the movie.
That's true. Also, I don't get how you can blast Cinderella for not learning a name during a 3-minute dance, but she literally never learned Beast's name ever. So the writers, so this is the thing about the animated Disney Beauty and the Beast. Okay? It wasn't meant to be big. They weren't expecting Beauty and the Beast to blow up as much as it did, because all of their eggs was in the Pocahontas basket, because they were doing both these films at the same time. And they thought that Pocahontas would be even more popular than Beauty and the Beast. So that's why there are so many, I guess, plot holes in the animated film, including Beast's name, because they weren't expecting Beauty and the Beast to actually be very, very good in the very end. Like, people loved it. They weren't expecting that. And that they loved it so much that they even had like Broadway stuff for it. No one expected that to happen. So I would forgive.
Production is a lot of fun, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But that's why I'm like, she never learned Beast's name. It's because the writers never actually expected people to want to learn Beast's name. That's the problem. So that's why I'm willing to overlook that, because and
that was a time period, like, in just movies and shows in general, they just didn't bother with that.
No.
If you look at something like Corpse Bride, like everybody refers to the Corpse Bride as Corpse Bride,
Mm-hmm.
but they actually intentionally did not call her that throughout the entire movie, that they actually referred to her by her name constantly.
Yes.
Her name's Emily.
Emily.
But even in the credits, they refer to her as Corpse Bride.
Mm-hmm.
And did not refer to her as her real name. And that was just a thing for a while.
Okay, but bad writing changes
And we're
all
getting
the
out
stories.
of that.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Sorry, because the shallow love stories is a product of their times too. No. Again, we're not dissing Cinderella. I get that it was a product of their time, and even then, Cinderella was still good. But the reason why I put Beauty and the Beast over Cinderella was because, and we can just say this is a product of their time. Back then, the way that Disney wrote their stories is they wrote it based off of a fairy tale back then, and didn't really experiment too much on branching out the story. I would argue that they didn't do this until Sleeping Beauty, or especially Little Mermaid. Because in Sleeping Beauty, you can see they took creative liberty because they gave the prince an actual personality.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is Disney was testing the waters earlier on, in terms of how they would be able to kind of sort of tell a classic fairy tale story in their own way. You can see it in Snow White, because Snow White was very much how it would be in the books, right? Cinderella, they had to cut off all the gory parts of Cinderella, but they still told the story in close, I guess, to what it was actually. It wasn't until I genuinely believe Sleeping Beauty, and especially The Little Mermaid, they took a lot of creative liberty. But that's just me. Oh, right, sorry. Back on track. Thank you, thank you, Zamer. So Belle and Adam, boom, there.
Yeah.
This is what I would argue is the next one. I would put this in number 7. I know you wouldn't like this, but Jasmine and Aladdin.
Actually, I would put them at 5.
Oh, really? I would put them at 7.
Yeah.
I prefer Ariel and Eric's relationship over Aladdin and Jasmine's. And I love Aladdin. I freaking love Aladdin. But you love Aladdin. And I think that's you're so biased. The reason why I would put them at number 7 is because I cannot stand liars. And their whole relationship was based on lies. Now, if we were to take into account all of the sequels and the show, they had a little show, Aladdin show, then I would rank them much higher. Yep. But the fact that, and this is all a part of Aladdin, which he eventually learned his lesson. It just took a while. It was a relationship entirely based on lies. Entirely. Their only the only truthful moment they had was at the very beginning. Jasmine lied first by pretending to be a street rat like Aladdin. No. She never said she was a street rat. Never once.
It's
assumed.
Lying by omittance, though. She never admitted to Aladdin that she was a princess.
And she wasn't. The reason why, and this is my argument, the reason why she didn't say she was a princess, and it wasn't the fact that it was like a lie by omission. She just didn't say it. The reason why she did it was to protect herself. She didn't want to get caught. And everyone who would recognize her as the princess, especially to the guards, would automatically catch her, and she would be back in her prison. That's why she never mentioned it. It was because she wanted to protect herself. I ain't gonna do that's justified in my opinion. What isn't justified is lying about who you are to get the girl. Don't do that. Be yourself.
I will get that. Like, him lying to her about who he is once he's Prince Ali. Like, I get that. Like, that's completely valid.
She even called him out. Was like on the rooftop. I still remember this, saying,
"Yep, mm-hmm.
You are the street rat I saw at the market. Why did you lie to me? If you would have been like, I lied to you because being a prince is the only way I can get to you, to talk to you, or to get to know you better, that is romantic as fuck. However, comma, he didn't do that. He doubled down on his lies. I cannot stand liars. Can't stand them. So that's why they're number 7, because he had ample opportunity to tell her the truth, and he didn't. He'd rather not. Because he was too scared. And if you're too scared to trust the person who you assume you love, then maybe you're not meant to be. If she doesn't accept him, because she automatically would have, she would have accepted him as like the street rat from the market. She would have, because she was excited that he was even alive. That's my argument.
Yeah.
And again, I saw the shows growing up, the old 90s shows. Their relationship is so much stronger in the shows. Or even
for it being a like Disney show, because going back and watching the Disney shows now are like kind of painful, honestly.
Yes, it's because it's so cheesy, like this pizza that I'm talking about. Like, it's so cheesy. But even in the second film, not the second, the third film, where it was the one with his dad. Oh my God, his dad.
Ooh.
He lied to her again and hid stuff from her right before they were getting married. Like, he never learned his lesson to do that. Like, he did not. That's why they're number 7 on my list.
Oh.
And first of all, his dad was the main character of the last one, the last film.
Yeah, he was.
I love him. So, not counting the sequels, etc., actor, because he did come clean and do much better going forward. He did, but in the we're technically excluding the movie, the sequels and stuff. Because if that, like I said, if that was the case, Cinderella would be much higher, because the Cinderella sequel, the third one, she was a badass. Prince Charming was a badass. All that. So,
and
in going
technically, Zamer was right that they aren't canon. They are done by different
studios.
So, and it's not the same writers. None of it's the same. So it is very rare that they're gonna be canon.
Right.
So,
also,
we do take them into consideration.
Yeah.
But
also, I didn't allow it for Ariel. I just genuinely believe that in the very first film, their dynamic was very well done. And then it just carried on to the sequels. But for the very first film, no, I genuinely believe I placed them there as number 5 because of their actual dynamic. Which is why I'm putting Aladdin and Jasmine at number 7. Because damn, they could have done so much better. He even betrayed his friend Genie while he got his hopes up. Like, come on. And that's a different relationship, because we ain't doing that. No one betraying Genie. But that's why I'm putting them so low. Not to say that he never learned his lesson, because he did. He had to learn it the hard way. He learned his lesson.
The long way. Even when Genie, like, you don't usually, in like early Disney princess movies and just Disney movies in general, you don't really have someone like advising characters.
Yes.
And Genie was advising Aladdin. It's just like, come clean with her.
Be honest. Be yourself.
Be yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. And he still didn't do it. Genie is a G. Can we just say Genie is literally a G? A good friend. Forgave him immediately when he found out that Aladdin was alive. Like, come on. Genie is the fucking G. Best friend 5 ever, for sure. No one ever had a friend like him. Straight up. Yeah. I believe that.
No, they didn't. And we're again just gonna talk about the animated. We're not talking about the live action.
Right.
Like, Genie was the most selfless he could be.
Yes. Even after being in a lamp for 10,000 years, and he's still acting like that. He could be better, but he wasn't. Man. All right, so I'm putting
first.
Oh, right. Okay, that's fine. Where would you rank them? You said 5?
Yeah.
Okay. I spelled
Copy and
Aladdin.
paste, girl.
I really should, but too late.
All right. You're committed now.
I'm committed. All right. That's where I still place them at 7. You place them at 5. I'll keep that.
And you argue that Eric went and like risked his life for Ariel.
Yes.
Nothing bad with that. Aladdin did the same thing, and Aladdin went up against someone I would almost argue was a lot more dangerous than
Ursula?
Ursula,
Mm-hmm.
only because, and this is my argument, only because Aladdin went toe to toe with Jafar at a sorcerer level,
Mm-hmm.
intentionally, while Eric ended up hopping into a maelstrom and attacking Ursula. Ursula wasn't specifically going after Eric. Eric
No.
just ended up jumping into the fray.
Right. To save his love. So I understand
Right.
that Aladdin was going to save Jasmine, but I would argue that his primary focus wasn't to save Jasmine. His primary focus was to save his friends. Abu, Carpet, Genie included. So I think it was more of him trying to save his friends from his own mistake. That's what I would argue. Because
I would argue that he was doing that for Jasmine as well.
Well,
like,
yes,
not putting
obviously.
Jasmine above them, but like he realized it's like I have made a mistake for
Yes.
all of them.
Yes, that I agree. So it wasn't necessarily a romantic gesture. It was just a good person gesture of him. He ended up saving his love and his friends, which is good.
Right.
But if we're talking romance and couples, I think he did it so he can protect his friends from his mistakes that he did. He was like, oh shit, this is getting way out of hand. I have to do something. I'm the only one who can do something. We're going to get this shit done kind of deal.
Right.
That's why I'm like, Aladdin as a character is more of not only his relationship with Jasmine, but his relationship with all his other friends, Abu included, Carpet, because he hurt their feelings, and Genie, who he betrayed at the time. Which he righted his wrong. So good on Aladdin. However, I don't know. I still put them on a lower tier. That's my only argument, because it was mostly for him to correct his mistakes.
Yeah.
But again, we'll keep it as that
for now. And we can hash it out at the end.
So Mulan and Shang is a interesting couple.
Right.
Oh, maybe I should move them lower tier, because Mulan and Shang had interactions, but it was more of a bromance. Like this is the thing.
I would argue that this is like,
because
I think this is like the first like gender fluid bisexual couple. Like, we can argue that like Shang could be like pansexual or whatever.
Right.
But not to the trueness of Ariel and Eric. I do believe Shang would be considered bi. While Mulan would be gender fluid.
It's Ping, not Pang.
Oh, excuse me.
You're fine. No, I was reading Zamer's comment. I don't understand how Mulan is a princess. We're talking in the Disney princess, quote unquote princess lineup. That's what we're talking about. So not all of these.
When you see like all the Disney princesses lined up, that is the Disney princess line. And if you notice, it excludes Anna and Elsa, along with a couple of other princesses.
Yeah.
Mirabelle apparently is considered an honorary princess.
Mirabelle is because they haven't really put her in the lineup yet. So
she technically can't be a princess.
She can't either. They didn't have that kind of thing back then in Colombia.
Yeah.
So I would argue, but they did have matriarchs. So
very clearly,
yes. Patriarchs, matriarchs, patriarchs, whatever. But
also, Kuma, the rest of your statement is daughter of a peasant and married a general. How is in any world that a princess? She was given high honors by the emperor. Technically, she is the highest ranking person in the Disney princess lineup.
Ooh.
Because she is because of the honor she was given by the emperor, that would put her at a higher status than a princess.
Mm-hmm.
She would be ranked like the princesses and the daughters or the granddaughters of the emperor. She would probably be ranking higher than them.
Yeah. But I honestly believe that because of what Zamer said, Tinkerbell and Esmeralda were honorary princesses. I agree. Because I remember Esmeralda being one of them. Then they removed her. They removed her. And she was a stripper. So, I mean, a dancer. Excuse me. She was a dancer.
Ma'am.
I saw what she did with that pole. I saw what she did with that spear.
The fact that men were undressing her with their eyes does not make her a stripper, ma'am.
Yeah. But I was like, come on. She was a dancer. Straight up. And I saw what she did with that spear. Straight up. That was a stripper move. I don't care what anyone says.
I think they removed her because she is a Romani. And that they called, like, they use the G word consistently throughout the movie.
Yes.
And apparently society is moving away from it.
Yes. It's considered a
slur.
A derogatory. Yeah, slur. Thank you.
And I think they had to kind of like remove it because they were romanticizing what happened with what happened with Romani.
Mm-hmm. But let's stay on track. We don't have a lot of time. Mulan and Shang.
I put them at 4.
You think? I agree.
Yeah, because they established like a pretty good
friendship. Yes.
Platonic and Shang had to work through his
sexism, his toxic masculinity.
That was cultural.
Yes.
And how he was raised. He worked through it and came around at the end.
Because he respected her as a fighter, as a warrior, not because she was a woman, because she was a warrior. And honestly, I thought he was turned on when he realized that, oh shit, it's a woman. And the fact that when she went to the temple and still kicked what was it? The Hun's ass? Like, come on. He would have been like, damn, that had to be a turn on for him. But do I agree he's like the first bisexual character? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
And I think the reason that I put them below Belle and Adam is because it wasn't like romantic until like the very end. Yes. Even then, it's just like, hey, do you want to
go to dinner? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, would you like to stay for dinner?
Grandma.
And Grandma's like, would you like to stay forever? Grandma knew. Grandma
no.
Yeah, Grandma been knew. So I think it was a good start to their romantic relationship. Mm-hmm. Because even the emperor was like, you ain't gonna find a girl like that, like in every dynasty or any dynasty. You know, come on.
Like a girl like that doesn't happen every dynasty, which is like, I think because we were still in like, our women need to be in a romantic relationship. That's why it was.
Yes, I agree. Now with more recent Disney princesses, that is not the case. So we have 2 places left.
2 places left.
Okay. And these are the best 2 in my opinion.
Right.
So the first, I'm just going to go ahead and say the last 2 princesses. Okay. Because I do believe either or they deserve top spots. That is Rapunzel. That's Rapunzel and Eugene or Flynn Rider, whoever. But Eugene Fitzherbert. And Tiana and Prince Naveen. And they're the more recent Disney princesses. So, and the reason why I like them so much is because you can tell they're trying to build a healthier relationship instead of a romanticized relationship like, I hate to see it, Snow White. Yes, or Aurora and Philip.
Yeah. I think that they are almost considered polar opposites from 1 and 2 are polar opposites from 9 and 8.
Yes, very much. Again, I but not on Prince Philip because Prince Philip is perfect. So moving on.
Okay.
We'll do Tiana and Prince Naveen.
Okay.
So we have a spoiled brat and the hardest worker, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's a very interesting, the reason why I love this film, and this is one of my comfort films, is because I love the trope of the spoiled brat party prince teaching the hard worker to relax a little bit, and the hard worker teaching with patience, might I add.
Agreed.
Yes, because the way that she taught Prince Naveen how to mince or just cut or do something as simple as that, she did it with patience. So she taught him the value of hard work.
When she was forced to teach him, because she was really frustrated with him.
Yes.
Constantly. But
because
when she's
because she was like, oh, you're just being lazy. In reality, when he opened up that he wasn't lazy, he just didn't know how to do anything. Like he wasn't taught anything. It opened her eyes like, oh, I never really thought of it like that. I guess that is, you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth and what is it, the ivory tower, but actually it's polished marble. But like that kind of thing. And it frustrated her because she had to work so hard, and he thought he can get away with doing nothing. In reality, that didn't help him because his parents cut him off. And he didn't know what else to do but party with money he didn't have, because that's all he knew how to do. She taught him the opposite. And he taught her how to dance, how to like let loose a little bit. Like, come on. I love that trope. I fucking love that trope.
I think so. Here's the thing. She taught him how to cut vegetables. And I think the only reason, and like I can really respect this, the only reason I think she actually did show him so much patience that time is because she is teaching it is what she loves. That is, I believe, the only reason why she gave him so much patience is because that is how she was taught to cook, is with
love and patience.
Kindness and patience.
Yes.
And so it's like it's something she loves.
She was
and
sharing
she understands the only way you share something you love is with kindness and patience.
I can agree to that. And the fact that when they were going through like the traps and stuff like that, they were getting caught, they actually helped each other out, and they had fun with it doing so. Yeah. Like he was trying to get her to laugh, and all this stuff. I thought it was very sweet, even in a dangerous situation. He still tried to make her laugh, to kind of like, I thought it was just to ease her mind personally, but man, she stole her best friend's future husband. Her best friend was Charlotte, Lottie, also one of the best side character best friends ever. Can I just also admit, do not shit on Lottie. I am a Lottie stan. I love her.
Oh, absolutely. Like, it's one of those things that's like, if we were ranking best, like, side characters,
yes,
Lottie would be number one. Oh, holy shit.
Okay, tied to number one with Genie because of how much Genie has sacrificed for Aladdin. But
valid. I will back down and give you that. Yes, absolutely.
But very, very, like a very close number two. She is number two, like right there, right behind Genie.
She's like 1.5.
Oh, that's hell yes, exactly. Bruh.
No.
Mushu, what the hell? Mushu was selfish. Mushu was selfish.
Absolutely selfish.
Yep. He just wanted
to like know his place. He's like a 3 or 4. Yeah. I don't know who would be above him, but he is not that high.
This isn't the Disney side character tier. We're not doing that shit. We're not doing that.
Okay, I guess we know what our future. I guess we know what the future episode is going to be. But
Nani's
she
best
didn't steal
sidekick.
him.
Oh,
she didn't steal him.
I wanted to talk about Nani and Dan.
Lottie fully understood
the
relationship between the two of them. Tiana did not steal him.
She did not steal him because when Tiana found out that, the prince was coming for Lottie, she was like, this is something that Lottie's been dreaming of, just to marry a prince. She didn't care who it was. She just wanted to marry a prince. And Tiana respected that decision. She's like, yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, that's exactly, if that's what you want, you go get it, girl. And when she found out that it wasn't the prince, that, the prince was actually the frog, Tiana didn't love him because she was a prince. In fact, Tiana hated him. And when Lottie saw their relationship, when Lottie saw how close they were together, she backed the fuck up. She's like, okay, this is real love. And that,
Mm-hmm.
I respect it. I respect you. I
Uh-huh.
respect that, because I'm not going to just kiss a prince just to kiss a prince if you're in love with this guy.
Right.
That's why Lottie is
She
amazing.
made sure that Tiana was okay with her kissing him.
Yup. Yup.
Like, that is a true,
Friend.
like,
Because she kissed him not because she loved him, because she's like, I'll do it for you, Tiana. No marriage
yep.
required. She was just going to do it. Like, come on. Lottie's amazing. But we're not talking about side characters. I would rank them either. I am okay with either one or two in that spot. Because.
I put them at 2.
Okay.
Because they both have, like.
Oh, and they have a show coming out, which I'm
kinda-
super excited about.
They're kind of toxic people. Like, to themselves, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Not to one another, but they're toxic to
themselves.
And that kind of had me put them at 2.
Well, that's the thing. That was something that they had to learn, like, because
And they did learn.
Tiana did. They were both extremes on 2 different points. Tiana was a hard worker, but to the point where she couldn't even enjoy life because she was too focused on her dreams without actually enjoying it. And Naveen was too busy enjoying life. Well, I wouldn't say that's a bad thing, but he was too busy enjoying the life without hard work. So he didn't have any dreams or anything to accomplish. He was just cruising by without actually knowing the value of hard work or dreams or anything like that.
But also, there's that they're toxic to themselves.
They're both
and they
on
learn
2
from one
extreme
another.
points. Yes.
And that made them a very wonderful dynamic. I also
Yes.
think that they got married too soon.
I think time
Like,
I think time passed.
Time did pass.
Yes. I think
But
time
I
passed.
think that they still got married very quickly.
I don't know. Maybe. I think you're right. You could be. And I'm not going to say that it's a product of their time because it was the 1920s. But I can see
So they
why
did get to know
married.
each other, but they did have a lot of, like, traumatic experiences together. And me and you both know from watching movies, from being, like, really interested into psychology and things like that, relationships don't last when they kind of pivot on, like, dangerous situations or traumatic situations. So that kind of has me put them down at 2 because they did have, like, had to fight the Shadow Man, had to fight I think they're called Coonhicks, the frog hunters.
Yeah. I don't know the proper term for them.
A friend told me at one point, because he is from Louisiana, and that's been like 11 years. I cannot remember. I think there's something called, like, coon shits or something.
I honestly don't know.
But they had to, like, survive very, very dangerous, life-threatening moments. So that
yes.
that kind of puts it at 2 for me. Though they are wonderful together.
I agree.
I am so glad that they.
I will agree to 2, but I do think top 2 spot, that is not bad. I love them.
Agreed.
Genuinely love them as a couple. Really well written.
If we didn't have Rapunzel and Eugene, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes. And they have their own show coming out, which I am super excited about. I am so stoked. Because if it's anything like, and I was the person who watched, I will exclude this from the ranking, but I also saw the Rapunzel show on Disney. I binge watched it a while back. The way they flesh out their relationship, even throughout the show, was fantastic for Rapunzel and Eugene. But we're not going to do that. And I hope that we're not going to, I'm not going to base my opinion on that. But I hope they do the same thing with Tiana and Naveen. I really hope so. Because they did it very well with Rapunzel and Eugene. And I really hope they do that for Tiana and Naveen. For sure.
Right.
All right. So number 1 couple is Rapunzel and Eugene.
And
Uh,
justifiably, it's not like a process of elimination. Like
no,
they
justifiably
justifiably.
so. They belong to like top tier Disney couple in the
Hmm.
classic princess lineup because was it Kumo said Nani would be the best sidekick. Nani is like main character straight up.
Yeah.
For Lilo and Stitch, there was
She
three main characters: Nani, Lilo, and Stitch. Boom. Because Nani was a
she is not
bad
a side
bitch.
character.
No,
She is not a side.
she is
Like
not. She
there's
is a
nothing
main
about her.
character. She's the biggest. Oh my god, I love
Mm.
Nani. But I, this is also a Nani stan account.
David would actually kind of be considered a side character.
Who?
David.
David would be
Between
considered the side character. Yes. But Nani, Lilo, and Stitch, they are the main characters for sure. And I wanted to include Nani in this romantic relationship with David, but just strictly Disney princess
princesses.
only. Yes,
Princesses.
but
Now you
I
see
love
why
them.
I was really pushing princesses.
Oh yeah, no, I understand because I love Nani and David relationship, especially David. David's man, top tier. Anyway, Rapunzel Eugene. I should we even do we really need to describe their relationship?
We
got 5
should.
minutes.
We got time.
We
But
have
we should because
a
it can't be like a process of elimination. It's like they deserve number one.
they do deserve. I have. I guess it's the one common thing they have is they're both technically orphans. Well, not really, but Eugene was an orphan, and Rapunzel had a toxic relationship with their mother, so they both had. I'm pretty sure just kind of bad childhoods, traumatic
Dramatic
childhoods.
icon. Yeah.
So I guess they have like a certain understanding with that, which I love. That they can understand
Well,
each other in that way, but they don't hint at that in the movie. Instead, you have this thief who's doing whatever he
mhm,
can to survive, like Aladdin, with a
mhm.
heart of gold, also like Aladdin. Um,
But he wasn't a liar.
he wasn't a
Well,
liar.
okay, he called himself Flynn Rider,
Yes, but that's the
but
only thing.
that's just a name preference.
Yes,
You prefer to be called Ricey.
right.
Like,
Because he wanted to be Flynn Rider, swashbuckling rogue, all this
mhm,
stuff when he was a kid. He is like, I'm going to grow up and I want to be like this guy. So of course he's going to take the namesake of that guy because it was a story, right? A character
yeah.
from a
Mhm.
story. So of course he wants to be named after his hero. I see no problem with that, um, because it gave him a newfound confidence. Well,
Yeah.
as Eugene Fitzherbert it will take him back to being in the orphanage, and I don't think he wants that. Like he didn't want that, right? Until Rapunzel made him comfortable in being like, yes, I can see you being Flynn Rider, but you are also Eugene Fitzherbert. Like that's one
Yeah.
thing I love about them. Man, I love them.
They are a very good couple.
Yes.
And they Rapunzel was sheltered, like Eugene was worldly, and Eugene didn't really take advantage of Rapunzel.
No.
Rapunzel was strong enough to take care of herself even though she was sheltered and doesn't understand how the world works. And
Exactly.
because of her kindness, she was able to make friends.
Exactly. Through her kindness.
Hmm.
And you're absolutely right that Eugene found out very early on she did not need saving. Like
Yeah.
he saw her capability when they were running away from the bar, I guess, and they went into that canyon.
Mm.
He saw firsthand because after she swung on her hair down to the ground and stuff, he just stood there in awe, like just looking at her. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you like that, don't you, Squidward? So I'm just like, he knew what he wanted. Good on him. Good on
Yep.
He was also attracted to strong women. That's also, this is one of my comfort films. I've seen this film so many times. I love this film. And I love their dynamic as a couple. But yeah, you're absolutely right. He knew she didn't need saving.
She just needed some guidance. And so, like,
Guidance. Yes.
okay, she didn't need protection. She just needed someone to watch her back.
Yes.
And that's what Eugene did.
Yes.
He had her back.
That's absolutely true. I want to watch this film now as soon as this is over. I love that film so much. Their dynamic is top tier. And I will say I like that recently there isn't a romantic dynamic in a lot of recent films, which I think is fantastic, because as much as, romance is one of my favorite things, I love that they're creating more like stronger characters outside of just their romance.
Yeah.
Especially, can we just wait? Are we done with this? With Eugene and Rapunzel? Because I want to talk about Raya.
I would like to say that it's like they didn't have a romantic relationship throughout the movie. That it was a platonic relationship, a very loving platonic relationship that did eventually move into a romantic relationship, and not necessarily until like after the movie.
I think
because it was stated by Eugene that it's just like, yeah, they kiss in the end scene, but we don't know exactly like how long of a time period that is, even though the movie technically shows throughout a 24-hour period.
Yes. Well, they kind of show in the show how long it's been. And I think it's about like 2 years, I think, or 3 years or something like that. I don't know. So it was a few years. Time passed. Yes.
Before she agreed to marry him. So like accept the proposal.
Mm-hmm. So that they like you said, they had a great platonic relationship. Mm-hmm. I think it changed
a great foundation.
Yes. I think it changed the moment in the film when he finally delivered her in the castle and they could finally relax, is when he finally started opening up to his feelings, because they were relaxing and he saw how she is in her element of like art and wanting to learn and all that. And I think he fell in love with her. I think this is also the character trope where the man fell in love with the character before the main character first. Yes.
And he didn't take advantage of her.
No.
He realized that he loved her, and he still didn't take advantage of her.
Exactly. So, fucking, I love this couple, man. They're great. And in the show, it only made it better. Like, they made him better in the show. And
he's sassy.
Oh, I love his sass.
Like, I know you love his sass. Like, I love his sass, too. I know you love his sass. Like,
I love his sass and sarcasm.
Well.
Oh, my God, I love him.
And their dynamic is good because she realizes, like, oh, I can sass back and not get in trouble. Because I bet Rapunzel couldn't just be a little sassy to Mother Gothel.
Oh, God, no.
And she realized it's like, oh, I can sass Eugene and not get in trouble. And that's so much. Like, being able to sass somebody is so much fun.
Agreed. I think that's a good dynamic in my personal opinion.
Agreed.
But yes, so that is our list of just the princesses. And you're absolutely right. We wouldn't have been able to do 36 or whatever, 35 of the of the original Disney couples.
You forget that we're ADD and we'll just go.
That's true. So that is our list. You don't have to agree. Like, just like Kumo says, welcome to your own opinions. But can I just say, I absolutely loved chatting with you guys. And because I didn't realize a lot of people were very into the Disney ranking thing. And I'm glad we had a good conversation about it.
Yeah.
I would love to do a Disney ranking for princes, personal opinion. But because like I do love me some Disney princes. I like the princesses.
I think the next thing we should do, rank wise, not necessarily for next week, but the next ranking we should do is sidekicks. And
I would love to talk about sidekicks.
Is rank the sidekicks, Disney sidekicks.
Number 1 is already Genie, so just come back to see all the others.
And 1.5 or 1.1 is Charlotte.
Yeah, it's Lottie. So come back and see what we're ranking everyone else. Because
you did want to talk about Raya for half a second, which is fine. You told me that we couldn't talk about Raya.
I completely forgot what I was going to talk about with Raya. But it's fine.
I actually kind of put her between 7 and 6 because her and I don't remember her name. Her and her headcanon love interest are really toxic to one another.
Yeah, at the beginning. And you wouldn't see their relation because their relationship was, again, Fang. Thank you. I do think that the relationship in the very beginning started as a beautiful friendship that, you know, she was betrayed and she can't get over the betrayal, but she finally forgave Fang. Like Riot finally forgave Fang for the betrayal and allowed Fang to become more than what, you know, people thought of her to be, you know, like a villain or anything.
Yeah.
And that's a good, like, if the first film, there are hints, I mean, in my head canon. But if they did like a following film to bloom their relationship, that was a great starter. The first film was a great starter, but I can't really say anything about the relationship because, again, it's just head canon.
Yeah, and I put them so low because they didn't really learn anything from one another. They're really toxic to one another, like,
because Raya was learning from the other people from other districts.
Yeah.
And Raya and Fang was, I think, the last lesson that she learned, which is fantastic. So there was that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for talking and letting us talk about this and stuff like that. Because as Disney adults, this is all that we have left to make us happy. Disney?
Yeah, well, we'll never be able to get to Star Wars because somebody hasn't watched
Star Wars. Oh, yeah.
You haven't
watched seen any of the animated.
Anything.
Yes. If we did like a Star Wars character tier list, I think it would be here for hours with your knowledge.
Rex. Fucking number one.
Yep.
Rex number one.
How far are you in Jackie Chan? I haven't even started.
She hasn't.
Jackie Chan.
She's already admitted that she's gonna.
I haven't. I can't. I like, as much as I try, all these other shows that are coming out, I have a backlog. Let's just say I would
watch it with you.
I know. What's his name? Zamer already has them downloaded to watch it with me. So what's her deadline punishment? I will change my deadline to the end of the year just because I've had a very busy first few months.
No, ma'am.
I will say December 31st, 2022. And on the new year, I will receive whatever punishment. I just couldn't do it this time. But if you want to watch Kumo, Jackie Chan Adventures, I know Zamer has it, so we were planning to do like a watch party maybe to help me get through it. So it's like 95 episodes. Good God. Anyway,
man, we're working me and Chelzor and a couple other people are burning through Merlin. You just gotta sit down and do it. And Merlin's an hour long.
But Merlin is interesting, and that's it's like Merlin.
I think you would actually like. I know that it's gonna be aged. I already know this. But I think you would actually like a good amount of like the episodic storyline.
I mean, for a Jackie Chan, yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, Merlin isn't that many seasons. It's only 5 to 6 seasons. Yeah.
It's 5 seasons, but they are hour-long episodes.
But they're good hour-long episodes. They're full of cheese, and I love it.
Ma'am, this is Jackie Chan Adventures. What makes you think that it's not going to be full of cheese?
That's true.
Okay, you would love Jade. Regardless, because we already established that you like Eugene because he's fucking sassy. He's a good man, but he's fucking sassy.
I know who Jade is. Like I said, I've seen a few episodes, but they were sporadic, so I don't know exactly.
Yes. Thank you.
I don't know exactly like the order they were in, but I did watch like I can count on one hand how many episodes I watched. So, but that's not enough. Anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic week.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys could be safe. That's the word. Hope you guys are safe. And we will see you next week with a new topic. Maybe something that's not Disney related. Because we've been talking a lot of Disney lately.
Who the fuck are you?
I know. I'm a Disney adult. Quote unquote adult.
Who am I? Gracie.
We're I'm sorry. I will try and I will try my best to do this quickly. I'm a bowl of ricey. You can find me and Twitch, Twitter, with that name. And that's it. I'm not even gonna talk about my cosplays. Those are it. What are you? Who are
You
you?
can find me. I'm at Minky Ree. You can find me here on the podcast. You can find me on Twitter under the same spelling. Hit me up, send me memes. I'm good with that. You can find both of us at what? You got it.
What's your pin
on
10?
Twitter
On 10.
and here on Sundays at 11 a.m. when Ricey remembers what time we actually start.
That's my bad. My bad.
She also, thought we started at 11:30.
Yeah, it was because I saw that we were past time, and no one told me like we're late. So I was like, wait, are we starting at 11:30? That's on me. I'm tired. Also, I would love to one day talk about because the Bethesda and Xbox showcase is on right now. I'd love to talk about the video games coming out in the summer. But I also want
isn't Nintendo supposed to be later this week?
Yes, so PlayStation already did theirs. The Summer Game Fest already passed, and then Xbox is doing theirs today. I want to do a stream where we can talk about all of the video games coming out, including Nintendo. If Nintendo would post if they're doing something this summer, that's all I want.
I need the idols.
I just want to know if they do that. So if there is anything good in terms of video games this week, we'll let you know. Maybe that's something we can talk about next week. We'll see. Until then, you guys stay safe. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.